Gweleshi, and it's a beautiful, beautiful morning to be right here with you. I mean, the year has been one with highs, lows, a lot of challenges, memorable moments, but then again, we're still here and we're about to have an amazing time on the show today.
What a wonderful day. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on TVC Breakfast Saturday. I'm Emmanuel Ajayi. So excited to be here this morning, gentlemen. Well, Merry Christmas, Etuma.
Merry
Christmas, Wilfred.
Thank you so much. I see I'm the only one that got the Christmas memo.
Well, that's why you're the lady amongst us.
Absolutely.
So you guys are not excited about Christmas?
We're inclined with Christmas. Yesterday was Boxing Day.
Yes.
And the significance of that day is about day of opening of gifts. And I don't know how you did yours.
There were not too much gifts to open. You know,
wow.
However, I had a lot of visitors. You know, people came in from people I didn't even expect. They showed up, so you can imagine. I spent half the day in the kitchen.
Is that a case? Is that a case Yoruba will call?
Oh, I cook very well.
Ooh, amazing!
Is that a case Yoruba will call Mugbomuya?
I'm sure they were invited.
Okay.
For Christmas Day. You don't need an invitation.
Yeah, just come.
Just come.
Just come. Us now. Next year Christmas, we go
Absolutely. They're coming back here.
Absolutely. Oh, well, for me, Christmas was amazing. It was interesting. Started the day on the breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria. Of course, we had, amazing celebration right there. And yeah, spent the rest of it with family, with friends, with fireworks. So yeah, I had a great time. Yes. That's
talking about fireworks, there's one that is unfortunately very popular now. I don't think that's fireworks. It sounds more like a bomb.
No, I know in some parts of subsistence Nigeria,
and that is why the police has warned against using
this
fireworks. At this time. But for me, I was at work, and it's been an interesting time. You know, when you're celebrating Christmas and you're also working, you need to just see how do you juxtapose the two together.
Cree walk or Christmas walk or
it's Christmas
walking Christmas.
Walking Christmas.
But it's been a great time. It's been a great year. Years of up and downs. You know, we had challenges. We also have gains, especially in TVC News. We also celebrate many awards this year, and we're still expecting more in 2026.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they will come rolling in. You can be sure of that.
But we have put together some trending topics that made our 2025. Do not go anywhere. This is TVC Breakfast Saturday. In the past few weeks, student loan scheme has come under scrutiny as allegations of misappropriation became rife in the public space. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission earlier released a statement where it said that it had discovered some discrepancies in the disbursement of student loan under the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. But NELFUND insisted that no funds have been mismanaged or stolen or unaccounted for under the scheme. Now, joining us in the studio to talk more on this particular development of allegations of corruption in NELFUND is the Managing Director, Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Mr. Akintunde Soya. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning to you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me back on your show.
Indeed. Welcome to the program. Yeah, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a development that we're seeing at the moment, talking about the alleged corruption of the student loan of this administration. Who is frustrating this effort?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I think the people who are frustrating this effort are the people who are wanting to deprive the students of what they are rightfully entitled to. Look, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, introduced this agency, this law, to address issues around students who have been frustrated for the last 60 years, if you like. Many of those people are no longer students, okay? They've actually headed into a life of great difficulty. And this agency is supposed to intervene and ensure that that doesn't happen going forward. So if we can identify those who have been frustrating the lives of students and their ambitions over the last 60 years, it gives us a good pointer as to who might be doing that now. For me to specifically name them, I can't. But we know that there are people in this country who don't consider education important.
Well, you might not be able to name specific names as to the persons who are frustrating this effort. But from the reports coming up from the ongoing investigation by ICPC, about 51 universities have been fingered, as part of the persons who are frustrating this. We've seen the figures that was released from the government to empower this project. We've also seen how much, according to the report, how much has been spent and what is left. However, that report also talks about these 51 universities. The discrepancy seen here is that some have deducted either 3,500 to 30,000 from the allocated money to them. The universities are supposed to be the direct handlers of this fund. Am I correct, sir?
Well, first of all, we deal with three categories of institutions: universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education.
Basically tertiary education.
Tertiary institutions. So, when you use the word university, let's be a bit careful.
Okay, so tertiary education.
Tertiary institutions. So look, essentially what has happened is that in a number of institutions, because we started this process midway through the session for many institutions, some students had already paid their fees. Some paid their fees between the application and the time that we carried out our checks and approved. So, of course, some students have already paid fees, following which we then went and paid fees on their behalf. Of course, there are some institutions who are deducting, who are playing games with the funds that we have paid to them, or the students have paid to them. In certain instances, from preliminary investigations carried out, it appears that some institutions are asking students who NELFUND have already paid fees for to go and find other fees to be able to attend examinations or to be able to register for courses. So there's something going on. Whether it's 51 institutions or not, I cannot speak to that because I haven't seen a specific report from the ICPC indicating there are 51 institutions involved. I saw a report in the newspaper by a journalist saying there are 51 institutions.
Okay.
These are very serious matters, and if you're going to level accusations, we have to be sure that what we're, talking about is
just a second about it.
Sure.
Now, the banks are the ones who are supposed to disburse this money. It's not that the students come to queue at your office to get the money cash, correct?
Correct. So look, there are two types of loans.
Okay.
One type of loan is the one where we pay the fees for the institutions or to the institutions on behalf of the students. That goes from the central bank direct to their account. If they're a federal government institution, it goes to their TSA account. If it's a state institution, it either goes to TSA if they have it, or it goes to a commercial bank. But the money goes to the institution on behalf of the student.
Exactly.
The second tranche of money is the upkeep, the pocket money, which goes on a monthly basis direct to the bank of the individual who provided us with their bank account, the student loanee. So those are the two types. Let's be very clear on the distinction.
So how do students then access this money at the end of the day?
So they don't access money. The funds that we pay to the institution is like your parent paying money to your school. You don't access it. You access education.
It doesn't end up cash in the hands of anybody.
No.
Okay.
The way the process works is we pay the fees for the individual who's in the school. They are then given unfettered access to classes, to examinations, to tutorials, to seminars. They're given access to education. This is what the president wants. Free access for those students to education, not access to cash that we've paid to the institution.
Okay. So
the money they get is from the upkeep that we give them. They have access to that, and that doesn't go via the institution.
So to the question of my colleague, when he talked about the persons who were frustrating this, right? So if the money does not at the end of the day go by cash to anybody's hands, why would then anybody want to frustrate this wonderful,
Well, look, the funds go to the institutions. The institutions get hold of funds from NELFUND, okay? The important thing for us is that the students have access. In certain cases, the institutions may be asking the students to pay extra charges. I think that's where really the allegations lie. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if students are not given, have already paid their fees, or somebody else has paid on their behalf, it means the institution has money from NELFUND for that student and money from the student for that student. So the student is entitled to a refund. There may be some issues around getting refunds for students, and we must address it. They must get their refunds.
Investigation is still on at the moment. Let's be a bit practical. You are the managing director of NELFUND.
That's right.
How much have you disbursed to these universities? And how many universities have received funds from NELFUND?
Okay, let's walk away from the word university. Let's talk about tertiary institutions.
Okay.
Universities, polytechnics, colleges of education. Sorry, I have to be very specific.
Okay.
That's right.
We've disbursed a total of 54 billion naira to these institutions. 30 billion of those funds have gone in institutional charges. 24 billion have gone directly to students, directly to their bank account. So that's a total of 54 billion naira that we as NELFUND have disbursed.
To how many students?
To 293,000 students and 303 institutions.
Okay. So in all of this, with this investigation that is ongoing from ICPC, you have been raising alarm about mismanagement of funds going on before now. You've been on the same program where I raised the question of how are you tracking these funds? Are you surprised with what you're saying at the moment?
So we haven't really raised many allegations. What has happened is that National Orientation Agency, as part of their mandate, have gone out to go and talk to students, to go and talk to institutions, to see and ensure that they are receiving funds and receiving the benefit of this. Remember, 70% of our population is under the age of 35, and the National Orientation Agency is very interested in how that particular cohort of people are treated, how they feel, what their approach is. And they uncovered a few students who were complaining to say, look, we're not receiving the value from the institutions. We as an institution who are giving out the value and who people are applying to have also complained to us. So we sat together and said, look, the information you're getting and the information we're getting seem to corroborate. Neither of us are investigation agencies. So we've both agreed that these must be investigated. And of course, the ICPC and the FCC are investigating. To your question around how do we monitor, how do we track, we run an entirely electronic system. We don't give anybody cash. What we do is people apply for the loan electronically. All of that is captured. When we disburse the loan and the process we go through in disbursing loans, all of it is electronic. So, we track everything. The most important thing for us is that we're giving funds that we're tracking to the right people. And we have a very robust process in terms of how people apply, what credentials they need to apply, how we cross-check, how we do our own due diligence. That's the important thing. In terms of the tracking, we know where the money is going. Every single naira has an electronic footprint. Every naira from our organization outwards has an electronic footprint. So we can track. Okay.
For the benefit of some Nigerians who probably are hearing it for the very first time or have been wanting to know how to get around these funds, can you take us a little bit on the process of how each student can apply for this?
Okay, it's really very simple. We have a portal, www.nelf.gov.ng. If a student approaches that portal, they need to provide us with certain pieces of information. One is obviously their name and their date of birth. The other is that they need to provide us with their NIN because they have to be Nigerians. So they provide us with their NIN number. We have an API direct to NIMSI that cross-checks whether that NIN is accurate, whether it's correct. They also have to provide us with their JAM number. We have an API direct to JAM that tells us whether that number is accurate and correct. And then, of course, we have preloaded, because we've been working with the institutions as partners. They have given us all the information about all their students in session. They've given us information about their matric number, their admission number, if they're just coming in, the course they're doing, the year they're in. So that's preloaded into our system. So let's think about it carefully. They provide us with their NIN, they provide us with their JAM, they provide us with their name, their date of birth, and their matric number, which the school has already provided us. So essentially, we're dealing with a unique individual because no two people have all the information that I've just provided you. Once they've gone through that process, we carry out some checks in the background, ensure that all of this is real, all of it is correct, all of this is accurate. Then we end up with a compilation of students. Remember, the students apply randomly. It's not that we get everybody applying from the University of Calabar, all in one go.
There's no special preference for anybody.
Apart from that, it's random applications. You apply now, he applies 10 minutes later, I apply a week later. We're not necessarily in the same institution. We batch these applications and then send for each institution the list of those who've applied to that institution to verify and check, are these really your students?
We've had cases where some students raised alarm that getting into the website is a bit difficult for them. What do you say about this?
Well, you know, the truth about it is, and look, I want to be respectful of people who make complaints, even if it's only one person. I'll tell you something, if you have a minority of people who have a problem, for those people, it's not a minority issue, it's a majority issue because it's their problem. So we, as far as we're concerned, our site is simple and easy to access. However, if people are struggling to access the site, they should contact us and we'll see whether it's a problem with their device, could be a problem with their internet connectivity, but generally we have had to date 512,000 applications in 11 months. Okay? These people have not had difficulty, clearly. They may have challenges on the way, but we've had 512,000 applications and we're getting about 1,800 to 2,000 applications per day.
That's a whole lot. But NELFUND was basically structured, correct me if I'm wrong on this, for students in the tertiary education. Is there a plan to expand the net, to secondary and other ones?
Well, the way that the administration has structured education, it's very clear. What the administration of President Tinubu is trying to do is give focus to specific areas. We've talked about investigations this morning. We're not an investigation agency. We're a tertiary funding agency. If we want to move into other areas, the administration must decide. But look, I happen to agree that we should be very focused on what we're focused on. If the National Assembly, in their wisdom, or the President wish to expand the program, then we'd need to look at our entire structure again and say, okay, are we fit for purpose? But I believe that the current approach that the administration has towards education is good enough. It's segmented. There are lots of different agencies doing lots of different pieces of good work. We don't want to expand. Let's focus and get this right.
Let's go back to this investigation that is ongoing at the moment. Do you see anything positive coming out of this? The NEA has raised a critical allegation on some tertiary institutions. Do you see anything coming out of this investigation?
Do you know, that's a really good question. And you know why I like the question? Because there's no progress that you can ever make in anything in life unless there's a problem. You have to be solving problems. Okay, so if you investigate, you identify issues.
Okay.
When you identify those issues, you solve them or you create solutions. Everything that comes out of this will be positive. If there's no investigation and everything's perfect, we're going to boil like a frog.
You're very confident about that.
It's a general principle. When you investigate issues, you must investigate with the approach that you're going to correct.
But you've stated quite clearly that the fault, if there's any, which the investigation would bring out, is not from you, from NELFUND, as it were. It's in the process of the money getting to the end user, right?
Yeah, we shouldn't get into the his fault, my fault, he's to blame. I don't do that sort of thing. Look, there is an investigation going on. If that investigation points the finger at us to say, you didn't do this right, then it's an opportunity to correct.
What is wrong?
It's not about, you're innocent. Nobody is perfect, right? So we've got to follow this through.
If at the end of the investigation comes out and finds out that some persons or institutions, as the case may be, had taken some money from, the money that was supposed to go to a certain persons, what would be done about that?
Well, first of all, let me say that would be extremely sad because we have an opportunity that the President has provided to help and support the most vulnerable people in our society. These people, by the way, happen to be the people who are going to secure our future. Tomorrow. So it's extremely sad if anyone is tampering with that, okay? But of course, I am of the opinion that if illegalities are being carried out, then there must be punishments for this. If administrative errors are being carried out, there must be sanctions to ensure that we correct administrative errors. So I'm all for punishing erring parties for two reasons. One, it serves as a good deterrent. That look, if you do the wrong thing, deliberately or otherwise, you can't just get away with it. Okay? If we don't imbibe that culture in our system, we will continue to act with impunity. So for me, it's extremely important that the investigation is carried out thoroughly, is carried out fairly, and that if people have wronged, that they're punished. But if people are falsely accused, then they should be
If
exonerated.
NELFUND is found culpable in this act,
No, yeah.
would you also suggest is a severe
Same
punishment?
thing, yeah.
Well, if I said no to that, what would you think? If I said leave NELFUND out, we're found to be culpable, but actually just leave us, we're a sacred cow. What would that signal? The point is, if we want a good society, we must be prepared to point fingers where we have evidence, and we must be prepared to really address issues and punish wherever we find the fault. If NELFUND is found wanting, punish.
You agree with me that this renewed agenda of President Bola Tinubu on student loan is meant for the indigent students. That's why you don't have this loan in private institutions.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Is that a question?
You want to say something on that?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that we need to continue to recognize is that there's a large, the poverty in Nigeria is extremely high. Let's not shy away from it. It has come about because of 6 or 7 decades of absolute negligence in terms of providing equal opportunities to people. So we have a lot of poor people in this country. Those poor people, many of them are very intelligent, many of them are very driven, many of them want to achieve, they want to do something with their lives, but they don't have the funds to take them to the next level. In this instance, if you have the capacity, the ability, and you're eligible, and above all, you have the desire to take those 3 things and make yourself or develop yourself to be the best you can be at the highest level of education, which is tertiary education, then, the idea is to provide that bridge.
In less than 30 seconds, because we have to go now,
Sure.
Are there plans for postgraduate students to also tap into this initiative?
Let's solve the problem we have now. We have people who don't have degrees. Let's solve the problem
I was
we have
expecting
now.
you to say that, actually.
Let's not jump ahead of the game.
All right.
Well, let's wait
we're
to
doing
see.
this one, and we're still trying to grapple with it and make sure that it works properly. Let's wait.
And some people are still trying to cut corners
In this as
Would
well.
you agree with that?
In every society in the world, in the Swiss society, in the Dutch society, in the Brazilian society, look, people
Managing
cut corners
director,
everywhere. This is
Nigeria.
Managing director of
Nigeria.
Nigerian
Let's
Education.
not demarket Nigeria. Let's,
Actually, Soya.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much for
It's
joining
been
us.
great
coming on the
being
program
here.
this morning.
Thank you for having me on the
This
program.
morning.
And
We'll be turning our attention